right. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kira Show here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku has just walked into a forest, and he's actually quite confused as to what he's doing here. But before that happened, Midoriya found himself somewhere else, talking to the news reporter about her quirk, and exactly what it is, and how it affects people. Apparently, it's basically just, well, goes by one of the many nicknames she gave it. She nicknamed it Liquid Courage. Because, well, apparently, if someone of the opposite gender smells this pheromone you're giving out, or the way your sweat smells, then things begin to get a bit weird. Basically, they become more, if they were attracted to you, they become a bit more attracted to you, and start to actually take notice, using what is already there and building upon it a bit more. So, Midoriya, he has just come to that conclusion. Since whenever he did try and use his quirk on a random person, it did not work. So, he now understands why the woman didn't want this quirk anymore. It is fairly odd, and in fact, barely useful. Deku, he is now walking through the forest, and looking around, until he does see a beach house, or a house on the lake, walking up and knocking on the door, until he does open it. Or his dad opens the door. Deku a bit confused, as he would walk in and find a weird house. Yeah, apparently All For One had this place built shortly after kidnapping Midoriya. He was going to take him here one day to help train a quirk he thought about giving Midoriya, but after the events with Fear, he didn't want to take Midoriya out of an environment he knew and was accustomed to, since that could have destroyed, as the doctor put it, Midoriya's support system. Now, along with that, he's actually talking with him, telling him that things are a bit odd, and asking him exactly why is he here. He's guessing it's very important. Deku confused. He talked to his dad the other day, or the other week. Are you the clone, or are you the real one? Deku asking that question very early on. Hasashi just saying that he's the real one. So, the clone was in my place for a while. Your mom's been here, and, well, she's actually enjoying herself. Deku's seeing his mom, and her somewhat just enjoying her life here. She can do whatever she wants, and, well, Hasashi given her some quirks that she can at least enjoy. Him giving her one that allows her to basically create illusions, and anything to entertain herself with, along with having plenty of money, resources, and whatever you can really think of. Deku's seeing his mom, her basically running up and hugging him, and Deku being a bit surprised. She seems to be a lot more, well, better since the last time we saw her. The last time we saw her, she was worried about his injuries, and trying to get a proper explanation out of Dad. So, that was long out of the way. Deku at least thinking, he needs to talk to his dad in private. Him someone just grabbing Hasashi by the arm. He needs to talk with him, man to man. And, well, it's a bit of a weird topic. Deku just pulling his dad out of the room, all for one a bit surprised and confused. Until they'd be outside talking. Deku's saying that he's not really sure how to say this, but apparently all of my female friends, Deku using that word for the first time. All for one a bit surprised. Immediately taking notice to this, saying that exactly what happened. Deku just saying that he came across a weird quirk. Do you remember the news broadcast? Whenever I took the newscaster's quirk. Hasashi just saying yes, as he actually does look at Deku's stats with his quirk, looking to see that Midoriya has a bit of a weird one, specifically titled Pheromone. Him being confused, asking exactly what does that do. Deku saying that he just talked with a woman who he got the quirk from, and he made sure not to make a lasting impact on her. I was in and out of there before anyone even knew me. Well, one knew I was there. Along with that, I've been getting other things set up. Where has Shigaraki been? It's been a while since I've seen him. He's been doing his own thing. Izuku. All for one slipping with that. Deku just looking at him a bit confused. Before remembering that that is actually, well, his other name. Now, with that being said, All for One has just gotten back on track, calling him by his brother's first name, saying that this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Exactly how do you feel about this? The two talking for what feels like hours, when it's barely been 20 to 30 minutes. Deku coming to the fact that this quirk, from what he can tell about it and knows about it, it's basically just exactly what it sounds. All for one saying that if he's really having that big of a trouble, or big of a deal choosing, or even talking, how about you go look for an old friend? I believe I've had someone keep tabs on her in case, well, we did need her. Deku confused. All for one just saying that your old friend Sayako. She is, well, still around. Deku looking at his dad, his eyes widening. She never wanted to see him again. He lied to her, and after everything, he doesn't know if he can face her. All for one just stating that you were her hero that day. She knows that you saved her, and in fact, things could have been a lot worse. If both you and I have not been there, Ayama surely would have died, along with your mother. Number 6 would have ran rampant. And well, number 9 is currently out of the picture right now. Deku not sure what his dad means by that. Did he kill number 9 or what? Cause he hasn't seen him in quite a bit of time now that he's really thinking about it. Yeah, he's with the doctor, but still, the guy at least comes around. Deku basically being snapped out of it. His dad's saying that if you really want to know exactly which one you might like better or prefer better, talk with Sayako first. See if this quirk is actually what you believe it to be. This can be your test run. And if it is exactly what you think, talk with your old friend at least. Build that bridge once again. And try not to set it on fire. All for one, someone just smirking, saying that he's not going to pull him out of the water this time. Deku at least a bit better about this, as he does begin to think, asking where she is. All for one just saying that she is at this location. It is a safe house that has been somewhat abandoned by heroes. When he says somewhat, it only has personal security now. It is still technically run by the hero organization, but her father has put guards in it, along with tried to remodel the place since it's a bit too small for his daughter, as he has said on multiple occasions. Now, with that being said, Deku would eventually get to this warehouse, or the place, the safe house, and he would immediately open his arm and use Midnight's quirk, sending the gas through and knocking out all the guards, using Black Hole to suck up the gas so that it does not affect anyone else. As he actually does walk into Saku's room and try and get her attention. He actually does somewhat shake her awake by at least putting his hand on her shoulder, her being confused at what's happening until she does turn on the light, seeing Midoriya. Her somewhat going to scream or, well, at least react. Deku just bringing his hand out and saying wait. He has a couple of things he needs to talk to her about. Her confused, going to scream for a guard before Deku holds out his hand and silences her, using telekinesis, saying that he's quite aware of what happened. But you never let me explain myself. I believe that's all I owe you. Plus, my life has got a bit more complicated. Deku just saying that he's gonna let her go in 3 seconds. And he already did knock out all of her guards. They're not dead, but they're gonna be unconscious for quite some time. Deku letting go of control. Her getting up and immediately walking out of the room. Deku somewhat behind her. Her seeing that he's telling the truth. Walking back in and taking a sip out of a thermos she has under her bed. She at least has this when she needs to study or at least wakes up sometimes. The tea is cold now, but hey, it's still tea. Increasing her intelligence, asking him to shoot. Deku giving a bit of an explanation, along with a rundown about how things have gone. Her actually a bit surprised. That is quite the lengthy story, along with the fact that he killed All Might. Her actually stating that she does have questions though. Apparently I found this out before. So what happened then? Well, my dad wanted to kill you. He wanted to kill you and take your quirk, and I'm not sure what to do. Her being a bit surprised. Deku just saying that it was his idea to brainwash you. In fact, I currently have one of those quirks like that. I'm not going to use it. I promise. I'm just here to talk. Along with something else. Deku turning on this quirk and beginning his experiment. He knows that this is going to take roughly a couple minutes, but he does want to also explain more things. Saying that he's sorry about everything that happened, along with what happened at the school. He knows that he lied to her for quite some time, but he doesn't have any quirk that does piano playing. So that was actually all him, along with one of his own super intelligence quirks. It's a bit buggy up here, but still. I've almost gotten used to it. It's actually gotten a lot better since then. Her confused, beginning to ask him more questions. Deku then saying that he also does have a bit of an odd quirk. Him using overclock, and beginning to think. This is a bit weird. He has been noticing that she's been, well, showing a bit of abnormal signs of her body posture, and the way she's talking and moving. Along with that, what is it? I'm missing something. Deku just thinking that he is well, forgetting something. What was it? Deku then stating that he's also sorry about the time she spent in a coma. Her just saying that she does actually want to know about that too. As she actually does lean forward a bit, getting closer to Midoriya, saying exactly what happened during that time. She only remembers the explosions going off and smashing into the ground. Everything else after that was a blur. What happened? Deku just saying that he broke his back, and he tried to get to her. In fact, the only thing that pulled us out of there was my dad. Her surprised, asking why did he pull me out? He had no use for me, he didn't take my quirk. Deku explained that he was begging his dad to get her, and to save her life. Actually, that's just it. If you come with me, then I can explain more. You can actually meet him yourself, and my mother. Her a bit surprised. Someone reaching out her hand, confusing herself for a second. Deku seeing this and paying attention. She was gonna do it out of impulse, but her thoughts took over. So her quirk is at least helping her with this. So she still does care about me then. She knows I'm not being, well, lying to her. So I think I can trust her. Deku just saying that if she doesn't like what she sees, then he'll take her back here. But do understand. This is all about, well, closure. I know you still need it. I know how you are, Sayako. All that time we spent together was not just nothing. Deku going on more and more. Until eventually she would have taken his hand. And Deku would have told Kirigiri to open a portal. This being useful and weird to her. Her actually a bit fascinated by the quirk as they are directly outside of Deku's house. The lake house. Her looking out and seeing it. As Deku would have walked inside. And introduced his dad. Him actually walking up to her and saying hello. Explaining more and more things. Them all sitting down and talking. This being a bit odd and weird, but hey. It's closure. Closure. And she at least needed that. Until she does do one thing. She actually does learn about Deku's new quirk. It's a bit of an odd one. Realizing exactly what's happening after hearing about it. Somewhat jumping up and saying that that's just weird then. You took this quirk from somebody then, right? Deku explained that they didn't want it. In fact, he hasn't really been using it at all. He turned it off as soon as they got here. Deku just saying that he, well, barely kept it on. In fact, as soon as he turned it on, he basically almost turned it back off. The smell was at least in the air. Even then, it wouldn't have been enough to soak his clothing. So that means it's at least getting her to act a little bit more on impulse, instead of out of rationality. Until she does at least sit down once again. Turning to Midoriya and saying that if he's really having trouble with his quirk, then why not just take a date with all the girls? From what you told me, you have a clone quirk, right? Deku just looking at her. And thinking once again. Well, that does actually work. Deku's splitting up. He makes 2 copies of himself, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, until eventually reaching 10, and feeling a bit strained on his body, or at least his mind. They are all connected. It Deku can see through their eyes and they can see through his. This feeling a bit odd, as Deku would just say that this is going to be a bit weird to get used to. Her explaining that that might be so, but at least this way you can monitor it yourself. Her somewhat just stating, as she would grab onto Deku's arm, saying that along with that, I believe you owe me something. Deku confused by what she means, as she actually just leaned into his face, saying that you owe me an apology. Deku confused for a second, before just apologizing, saying that he is sorry about everything. But explaining all this back then would have probably been worse, right? Her at least accepting that, and Deku explaining more and more and more, down to every last detail he can, until he has nothing left to share. Her actually being a bit surprised. Deku killed Best Jeanist earlier today. Or tonight? That's a bit odd. Yeah. Deku and her talking. Deku just stating that if she wants to, he can take her back home. He knows that she's not about the villain life, so, well, let's just go. Deku holding out his hand. And, well, her standing up. Doing one single thing. Walking over to All For One and asking him exactly what is the next part of their plan. Deku confused for a second. Her just saying that if he has a plan, then share it. In fact, share every part of it. As she actually just walked into the kitchen to make some tea. Deku just standing there with his hand out. The clones around him disappearing. Deku's still confused. Wait, does that mean... Oh, hell yeah. Deku realizing that his old friend is back on the team. Or well, on the team now. Now, with that being said, Deku, eventually after some time and talking more and more about this, would have come to a conclusion. He's going to take all the girls out for a date. That's going to be odd, yes, since they're villains, but still, it might be easier than this. Deku finally doing one thing. Splitting up once again, and walking through the portal. Kirigiri makes, as he actually does, knock on the door to most of the girls' rooms. They would all basically answer a bit surprised, and well, weirded out. Each version of Midoriya basically saying that they have a bit of a idea, and so they're going to require all of their help, and to not worry about what's going on. All the girls somewhat crowding around and finding exactly what's going on. Deku introducing his old friend, Sayako and Telly. She is going to be on their side for right now. Along with that, she somewhat pulled him into and dragged him into this idea. We are all friends, as Deku would just say. And he has discovered exactly what's wrong with this new quirk. It has been making all of you act a bit weird. He understands, and knows why now. He talked to the original owner, and apparently you all have a massive crush on me. Is that right? Deku looking around. You have Uraka and Momo and Jiro hiding their face, while you have Sue and Altoru somewhat staying quiet, along with Reiko. Reiko's still a bit new to this, and is at least thinking, what the hell is going on? Deku's just saying that he can explain it a bit later, but still, you do need to know more and more about this. Her somewhat just looking down at Sayako. Sayako just looking at her, saying that she's guessing that this was a UA student, right? Yeah, actually. I didn't get into class 1A. I got into class 1B. I thought she would be a useful ally, and, well, I sort of just grabbed her. You kidnapped her? I wouldn't say kidnapped. I would just say that I moved her away from where she wanted to be. Midoriya, or, well, Shigaraki, that's still kidnapping. Deku just saying that actually, she kinda just, well, stays here now. As Reiko would just say that she kinda doesn't really have a choice. Then again, the idea of helping with a new hero society is at least a bit odd to her. Plus, she kinda has been a bit more, well, cool with Jiro. They actually do talk about music sometimes. Deku at least finding that to be a bit cool, he guesses, but still a bit weird. As he would tell them that tomorrow they are going to be going on a bit of a, well, what's the best way to say it? Deku is someone just throwing up his hands, saying that it will be a date. Them all confused, before turning around to see all the Midoriyas in front of them. As he would just say that this is going to be a bit odd, yes, but still. As each Midoriya began to talk more and more, finishing the rest of the sentence, saying that this is going to be annoying, probably. But do understand, this is one of the easiest ways I can see it happening, along with it being less time consuming for us. Each girl a bit more, well, at least understanding. Midoriya is trying to at least make sure none of them feel left out. At the same time. So, that's at least okay, I guess. Deku doing one thing. He would spend some time getting things ready, while the rest of the girls would have headed back to their rooms. Deku and Sayako catching up a bit more, along with Deku telling Kirigiri that they have a bit of a guest, and that he's going to need a bit of a help here. Kirigiri understanding, and at least trying to find another spare room. They have some old junk in this one room, but still, there shouldn't be a lot of stuff there. Deku working on it and clearing it out in record speed, as she gets this bed. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would have welcomed her to the group and closed the door, realizing that things are going to get a lot more complicated because now he has to prepare for multiple dates at once, beginning to think that he does know some of the girls' interest. Momo is fairly easy, along with Uraka. Mina, she's entertainable, and so is Shiro. Kendo, she is too. Deku's just thinking more and more. The only ones who would be hard are going to be Asui and Toru. Now, with that common interest shared between Jiro and Reiko, he can at least see something there, along with at least more and more ideas popping into his head, somewhat getting things a bit more planned out for each individual girl. along with using Ben's quirk and his creation quirk to at least make himself some outfits, or at least a suit. Spending more and more time in this clockwork state. Deku basically staying awake for a long period of time. Until he would need to fall asleep. He prepared quite a lot of things in one night. And in fact, he does believe that it will be a bit more challenging to execute. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.